Hi, welcome, everyone. Welcome to the Nest Egg Builder. We're so thrilled today to have our very special friend, our Building Castles, Courtney Jones, with us today. And before we do that nice introduction for her, I just wanted to let you all know, well, you all know that if you're looking to build your $2 to $5 million retirement, it might be time to talk to us about some many strategies in which you may do that. And we have set up a mastermind for families and individuals who would like to learn more about investing and about how money works and how you can make that money work for your investing so you could build your $2 to $5 million for retirement, because we're at a 7% GMP this year and last year. So you need to be socking it away like that. So thank you for that. And I have this quote that I want to read for my friend here because I think this is so her for Courtney. If you have built castles in the air, your work need not be lost. That is where they should be. Now put the foundation under them. This is by Henry David Thoreau. And this is the woman who has put the foundation under all these castles. So Courtney Jones is a seasoned real estate investor with 33 years of experience and over 650 completed castles, shall we say. As a national trainer, speaker, and coach, she specializes in creative financing, wholesaling real estate, sharing her proven strategies with aspiring investors, of which some are on here today. Courtney has authored multiple courses, including Fast Track to Cash, designed to help the beginner master the art of wholesaling and achieve financial freedom. Currently invested in single family homes, apartments, and more, Courtney brings practical experience and a passion for helping others succeed. Ditto on that. Whether teaching or speaking, Courtney's heart, energy, and dedication are always front and center. And her website, I'm going to post it for everybody, is called bestreadtips.com, but I'm going to post it in the chat for you all. So Courtney, thank you for being here. We are so thrilled for the Castle Builder. Please take it away.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. I really appreciate being here again. It's always a pleasure to join you guys. And I love that castle builder. I never thought of myself that way. That's so cute. I love it. Thank you. All right. So I'm going to share my screen and we'll get started here. But curious, by a show of hands, how many of you use social media? A little bit. Okay, good, good. And how many of you have ever used it to find deals? Couple. Okay, good. So yeah, it's an interesting little thing. It's one of those things I never really did for the longest time. I'm not a big social media person. I don't really love social media. I love what it was originally intended for, but I also find that it's not often used for that anymore. I feel like when I scroll through my feed, a lot of times it's just marketing stuff a lot and not what it was originally intended for. And God knows we don't need any more marketing messages coming our way on a regular basis, right? And so I tend to, especially this time of year with elections and things like that, I tend to kind of stay away from it as much as possible. But I closed a deal about 6 months ago that I actually found on Facebook. And it was a subject to deal, which I've talked to you guys about before, but and it kind of started hitting me that that there's a lot of different ways that we can find deals, and that social media is a really great option for that, if especially for the person that's starting out that doesn't have any money to get involved or doesn't have realtors working for them and is kind of looking for a different way to get started. What I find that is a lot of times people will use social media in the wrong ways. And what I mean by that is like they'll go into a group of investors or a group with a title of a group of investors and then ask for advice and stuff that they should be asking an attorney or a CPA or somebody who's maybe done the deal, and not just a group of 2 million people who are joined an investment group, because we don't know really who those people are. Are they even qualified to give us advice, right? So I see that a lot, and I kind of just roll my eyes and shake my head. But in this transaction that came up for me, it kind of got me to thinking of different ways that people could use social media as a positive. And so just to kind of paint a little picture about this situation, was it was in a local group in where I live in Arizona, when I'm in Arizona, and somebody had posted that they were getting a divorce and that they'd only owned their home for a short period of time, and that if they were trying to sell their house, but it was going to cost them money to sell, which we've all heard that story before, right? Because they'd only owned the house a short period of time. When you add in all those realtor fees and everything, it was going to cost them money. And so I reached out to her and just said, hey, I have some suggestions for you. Didn't try to buy the house from her or anything like that. And just said, I have some suggestions and some ideas on things that you can do, and gave her some advice. And then we kind of started up a conversation, and lo and behold, I ended up buying the house from her. So I think that kind of opened my eyes to the fact that if we look at things from a different perspective, that they can be valuable to people. So I thought that would be a great topic to share when they reached out and asked me if I'd talk again. I feel like I never know what people want to know about. So to me, it was like, I don't know, just tell me what you want me to talk about. As you just heard Peggy say, I've been doing this 33 years. I'll talk about anything. But I never know what people want to talk about. But to me, I thought that sounded like a good topic. So we'll start with that. In order to kind of create the environment and the basic foundation, I wanted to kind of do a little bit of basic marketing education just to make sure we're all on the same page, so that what I'm going to tell you makes sense. So one of my philosophies in marketing is to be everywhere and to become familiar with people. And I define that really as familiarity in marketing is mostly about positive repetition, right? So even though I said at the beginning, none of us really need to be marketed to anymore, my favorite path and method for marketing is really providing value. Okay. So the more times that someone sees something that you're putting out, something that you're giving of value, the more likely something is to resonate with them. And then they're going to connect with you, trust you. And, we've all heard the saying, if people know you, like you, and trust you, they're more likely to do business with you. I find that to be true in my investment business as well. And so most of the things that I create marketing wise are things that are going to provide value to people and help me become familiar to them as somebody who's a trusted source, I guess would be a good way to describe it. And so that's sort of what you'll see me kind of talking about here a little bit, and we'll dig into Facebook and stalk some people. So 4 stages of brand awareness. If you've ever heard people talk about a marketing funnel, so a marketing funnel kind of is the way you bring people into, say, your website, or if you're doing huge amounts of investing and you're, doing a lot of wholesaling as an example, then you have to have a lot of cash buyers on your list and bring people in, because obviously some of them are at different stages. Some of them might only buy 1 deal a year. Some of them might buy 10 deals a year. So what I like to do, and this is where I think social media is really helpful, is I like to start by building a relationship with people and then providing value. And oftentimes those kind of go hand in hand. Like I hear a lot of people pitching social media as a way to build your investing business, but they basically tell you to create a whole lot of reels and to create a whole lot of stories to get your word out there, which I find kind of funny, because for most people, when I go look at their page, they have 20, 40, 50 friends maybe. And so if you're putting a story out there regularly to those 50 people, obviously that's better than nothing, but only those 50 people are really going to see that. And so building relationships with people outside of that is what it's going to take to get enough referrals out there, enough people knowing what you do, and you providing value to people in order for them to kind of start referring business to you. So that's what we kind of started to look at in our business after this deal happened. So what is value? What do I determine to be? How am I providing value to people, right? So I look at that as something that's like helpful information, useful resources, tools, or referrals that can help somebody. So as an example, just today, I had a phone call with somebody who has bought an investment property in the Arizona market, and he called to say, hey, I'm kind of losing my money on this, and I'm thinking that I might want to sell it or turn it into a long-term rental, but I have no idea what the long-term rental rates are like in this area. Would you be willing to do some rent comps for me? So by providing that kind of a value to him, I'm going to be able to help him make that decision, whether we do business together or not. That's the sort of value I'm talking about, which you can do through social media. Here's some of the ones that I've seen that I think are really good. Things like a free marketing plan sample, or 5 mistakes home sellers make when that's keeping them from getting top dollar for their home. Or this one from the attorney was actually really good. Find the solution to stop a foreclosure. So when you clicked on that link, it actually gave you a booklet that told you a little bit about what the foreclosure process in Arizona is like, and what you can do to stop the foreclosure process. So providing value like that is really where I come at these from, always keeping in mind the WIFM method. And I think I talked to you guys about this once before in a different talk, but what WIFM is a marketing term, which is basically you always want to be answering what's in it for me, not me personally, but the person that you're marketing to. So when you're putting any kind of marketing out there, and social media, if you're using it in the way we're going to look at today, is really a marketing tool. You want to always think about what's in it for that person. Okay. So as you're presenting things, like a lot of times, for instance, I'll use realtors as an example. A lot of times you'll see realtors and they have their picture and they'll tell you how many houses they've sold and how they're the #1 agent in the area and blah, blah, blah. And most people look at those and go, who cares, right? Like, you want to know what they can do for you. I want to put out a message that says, I can show you how to sell your house in 10 days for top dollar. That's a message you're going to see and be like, oh, that's of interest to me, right? You don't care that I've lived in the area 27 years and then I'm the #1 agent or whatever. Okay. So always keep the WIFM in mind when you're presenting any kind of marketing things, and even when you're talking to people and building relationships on social media. So what do you say to them? So one of the things I don't like is to do reels, although I do them, but I don't really like them for building business and stories, because again, like I said, depending on what your audience size is. But what I do like to do is to connect with local people. And this is kind of a path that I use. I train my agents to always do the same type of thing. So I have a group of agents that I work with right now. I think I have about 15, and they're all local in the area. And I teach them, I don't care about you putting out lots of reels and stories. What I do care about you is connecting socially to people. And so this is a little bit of the approach that we would use. So you want to find people in your local area or wherever you're investing. So like Eugene and I were talking before the call, Eugene said, I like to invest in the Midwest and then the Southeast. So maybe not necessarily, you wouldn't, Eugene, look for people in Chicago to connect with, but if there's a specific market in Indiana or someplace like that you're trying to build, this would be a great approach. So you can find people in that market, in that small city, and reach out to them to start relationships. So you might send a text like this that says, hi, obviously use their personal name. I noticed that we have several mutual friends. I'm a local real estate investor and I love to expand my network and connect with people in the area. And then you always want to ask a question to get the conversation going. So whether it's, have you lived in the area a while? Have you ever thought about buying rental property? The question you ask should be determined based on what you're trying to achieve and how you want to direct the conversation. Do you know of anyone in the area who wants to sell their house this year? Okay. I wouldn't do that one if you're a realtor, just because you don't want to seem like you're immediately looking for business, right? But if you're a real estate investor, I think it's okay to do that. So you're really looking for, if you want to concentrate on a specific area, if you can make 5 to 10 connections a day with somebody new, starting to build that network of social media people and having these types of conversations, you're going to start making some connections. Now, I'll just give you a caveat that you will probably send out a bunch of these messages and not get any responses, right? Because we've all had those people that creepily, reach out to us through social media and stuff, and it doesn't seem like it's genuine, which is why I say stalk your friends, which we'll do here in just a minute, because then you've got some better connections when you've got other friends connected to them, and you're not just randomly picking strangers. You want to build genuine relationships. And the way I look at this is that the more people who know me and the more people who know what I do, the better I'm going to be able to help others. I think you could probably all tell a story of something that's happened, whether it's been like a friend of a friend of a friend who was going through a divorce and needed to sell a house quickly, or a friend of a friend's coworker who had a house to sell, but she didn't want to tell anybody because she was a hoarder and she didn't want anybody to have to come to the house that she knew. And so by this third party referral kind of thing, you're able to buy a house. Like, we all have those types of stories, but making sure as many people as possible and building that web of relationships out as long and as wide as you can is kind of the key to making it work. So what types of leads can you find on social media with stalking? Is property leads. As I said, I bought a house from it. I've bought several, but the one in particular I was talking about. You can find motivated seller leads, whether you buy the house or not, or you're able to help that person could be two different things. Depending on your business model, if you work with realtors, you can find good realtor leads. And when I say good realtor leads, I don't mean good lots of leads to realtors. I mean realtors that are actually good for working with investors. You can find wholesaler leads if you're looking for properties in specific areas and you're wanting to find some quality wholesalers to help you kind of take some of that time and energy away from you. Private and hard money leads, tenant leads, if you do rent to owns or anything like that. Actually, I started a conversation yesterday with somebody who might be a good rent to own buyer for one of my properties. So when I was doing some homework for this presentation yesterday, I ran across somebody and I was like, oh, could have used this tomorrow. So we'll see. Maybe I'll find her again. So two things to keep in mind, though. This is a huge one. And the coach in me has to say this: always go with a purpose, but an open mind. And the reason for that is, if anybody's ever gone on social media to look something up once and then an hour and a half later, they're still on social media, right? I want you to make sure that you have a purpose when you go, so that you're going to say, for instance, I'm going to go spend 30 minutes and look for some leads, and have an idea of what it is that you're specifically looking for. So you're going with that purpose. But what I mean by keep an open mind is, like, let's say as an example, you are focused on trying to find a property in Indianapolis and you're doing some trolling and you're thinking that, say, you want a small apartment building. You don't want to scroll right by a great duplex that is available that you were not open-minded about that, right? So you want to look for some certain things, have a purpose, have some definitive idea of how you're going to spend your time, but also kind of have that open mind. But the second thing is always set a timer. Okay. So give yourself that, I'm going to set this time for, I'm going to do 30 minutes or whatever it is that you're allowing yourself to do. Otherwise you could go down a rabbit hole and hours will go by and you'll not have accomplished anything. But you'll know a lot about a lot of people. So we don't want that. We want it to be purposeful. So where do we find them? Well, let's stalk some people. Let me stop my share here and show you. Let me get here. Oh, I don't know. I gotta get this. How do I know how to do this here? Hold on. There we go. All right. Meant to have that up. Sorry. All right. So let me give you a little examples of a couple of things I do. So couple of groups I belong to, and the lady I was telling you about, the sub 2 property, was a local group. It's a like a city. So Chandler, Arizona, if you've ever heard of it, it's one of the larger cities in Arizona. And every one of our cities, like we have a Chandler, we have a Scottsdale, we have a Gilbert, they all have their own of this group. Okay. So this group is actually national, and they have these groups. It's called like Chandler Girlfriends, Gilbert Girlfriends, Scottsdale Girlfriends, and they're all over the country. Okay. And so people come in here, and like the one in Gilbert, we'll go take a look at in a second here. I think there's like 30,000 members. Okay. But people come in here for everything from, hey, I want to find a great restaurant to go to complain about my husband does this. Do your husbands do some of it's just ridiculous. Like you're like, okay, get a girlfriend. So when I was in the group, as I said, somebody mentioned going through a divorce and having some issues and needing to sell the house quickly. And I really just kind of wanted to provide some value. So a couple of things that I like to do is I like to start with my own friends. I find it extremely hard to believe that 104 of my friends are online right now. That's so weird to me. But it's like we all had the same thought at the same time. So you can go to your own friends, okay, and go into your group of friends, go to all your friends, and then you'll start to see like how many mutual friends you have with people. So one of the things I like to do is kind of look through that list. Now, it's hard for me to do this a little bit. It'll be easier for you guys probably because a lot of the people that follow me are like realtors or other investors, right? Like you guys have seen me speak at an event or whatever, so you come. So obviously, I'm not going to find much great stuff on another investor's page, right? But when you start looking through your list, you want to look for people that you have a lot of friends in common with, but maybe, how do I say this? You don't hang out with that person a lot. Like you don't do a lot of stuff with that person, but you know each other and you would know each other to call each other up, but like you don't hang out together a lot. Okay. So hopefully that makes sense. So, and then also somebody that is not in real estate. So I'll use Robert actually is a good one. Robert's a good example. He used to be in real estate. He's not anymore as a person. So I'll look at his page. Okay. And so remember, my purpose in going to this page, this social media thing at this time is I want to go and expand my network. I want more people to know what I do, more people to know what specifically I'm looking for, and
Not
see if I
sharing.
can
Are you
find
supposed to be
any
sharing
people
at
that
this
I could
point?
help. I'm sorry.
Are you supposed to be sharing at this point?
Yes, you can't see my Facebook?
No.
Oh, well, thank you. Hold on then. Let's see. What am I doing wrong? Huh. Let's try it again. There, can you see it now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Thank you, Eugene. All right, so here's Robert. And so you can see this is my list of friends. Did you guys see how I got to that? Did it just stop sharing?
No, it never shared.
Oh, weird. I'm sorry. That's okay. So go to your friends and then go to your all friends. Okay. And then you'll look through your list. So you're going to look for somebody that you have a good amount of friends with, people that you connected with, but maybe you don't hang out with them all the time. Actually, Amber's a good one. She's not in real estate. She has 733 friends, which is a lot of friends, and we have 36 mutual friends. Okay. So Amber's a perfect person. So then what I would do is I would go to her friends. So again, remember my intention is I'm trying to build connections with people, right? Now, if you go here and there's no button here that says add friend, then that means you're already connected to them. Okay. So if you do see an add friend button, then that means you are not connected to them yet. Okay. So what I look for is I'll look for somebody like this. Matthew's a perfect example. I don't think I've ever met Matthew, maybe at Amber's wedding, but I don't recall. And we have 7 mutual friends. Okay. So then I might go to Matthew's page and go and look on a little bit about Matthew. Okay. So I'm going to look and just see, first of all, okay, he lives in Chandler. I want to buy properties in Chandler. So I like that. Okay. So what does he do? Oh, he's in real estate. Okay. So he's a realtor. So I'm probably not going to hit him up. Right. If I use, cause I don't use realtors in my buying business. Some of you probably do. So if you use realtors in your buying business, then this would be a great person to contact. Okay. And you could use that text that I put up earlier. Hey, looks like we have several connections. We have 7 mutual friends, but we're not connected yet. Love to expand my network. Tell me a little bit about what you do, kind of thing. Or I'm an investor in the area. Here's what I'm looking for. Okay. Now you need to be very specific, obviously, when you know when you're making these kind of contacts. So I'm not going to connect with Matthew just right now for that purpose. but I'll look at a couple of others here. So let's see what we have 15 mutual friends with Sarah. So I'm going to look at Sarah and see what Sarah does. It doesn't say, I don't know yet. So let me go to her profile. Oh, doesn't have her profile. All right. Okay. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to look through and see if there's anything you're looking for commonality. So, okay, so she has a cat. Is anyone willing to foster 2 cats? I'm definitely not going to answer that because I'll end up fostering those 2 cats. So I'm not gonna respond to that. But I did just lose my cat recently. We had to put her down, so that would be a very, very bad mistake for me to do. But I would basically just sort of look through here and look for some commonality. Okay, so I'm going to look for some things. I mean, oh, she's helping somebody with a fundraiser. I might read some more details on that. I'm going to look and see, she doesn't have anything. Oh, here we go. So I know this person she's talking about. The guy with a million jokes leaves a joke on my calendar every month. It's always fun to see what he will come up with next. Okay, so I'm just kind of scanning and looking for commonality and things that I can start a conversation about. All right. Looks like she's really into her family, which I love. Okay. So in this case, I might just be very general. We both know Amber. We also have, I think it was 15 other common friends. So I would message her and just say, hi, Sarah, nice to meet you digitally. It looks like we have a lot of friends in common, and including Amber, who rents a house from me. And so I would say, I've known Amber for 20 years. How do you know her? Or I'm looking to build my network. How do you know Amber? Or, something along those lines. And over time, that conversation starts to take place to where we kind of go back and forth. You want to think of it almost like a networking event, right? But it's being done online. Okay. So that's one way. The other way I've done some things is, can you still see my screen? Now you have me all freaked out, Eugene. I'm afraid every time I do something. Okay, perfect. All right. So I'm going to go to Gilbert Girlfriends, which is the one I was telling you about. There it is. All right. So I'm going to go here. The other way is, let's say you're trying to buy houses in specific areas or looking for deals in specific areas. You want to find some groups that are specific to that area. One that's really popular in the Arizona market, but we don't have a lot of here in the Detroit market, is like buy and sell pages, not real estate, but like everything, almost like a garage sale page. Okay. That one has actually been super successful for us lately and finding some good leads for properties in the Chandler and Gilbert areas of Arizona. So if you're trying to buy houses in Indianapolis, for instance, you might look for something like an Indianapolis buy and sell page, and you'll go on there and you'll see people selling everything from RVs to, Stanley Cups to iPhones and everything in between. But a lot of times you'll see people on there saying, I'm going to sell my house. I don't have enough equity to be able to pay a realtor, or, I want to sell my house, but I don't want to pay a realtor, or, those types of things. And that's always a good person to get started conversations with. But this is the page that I was telling you about the property that we bought. So you can see here, 18,000 members on this one. I think the Chandler one has more. There's a search button. A lot of people don't know these groups have search buttons here. So over here on the right-hand side, there's a little search button. So what I usually do is I'll come in here and I'll look for some specific words, things like divorce. Not that I'm trying to prey on people that are going through a divorce, but I know that a lot of times when people are going through a divorce, they have a house to sell and they have to sell it quickly and they don't want to deal with the other person to get it done, right? So a lot of times those are great deals. So I'll look for things like that: divorce, foreclosure. Again, it doesn't happen often, but sometimes you'll see people come on these groups and say, I can't afford my house anymore. I don't want to go into foreclosure. Does anybody know anybody looking for a roommate? Or does anybody know anything about the foreclosure process here? Or, you'll see all kinds of things like that. The more you can reach out and help those people, let's try divorce, the better you will seem to them. Okay. So here's one. It's September 23rd, 2022. So this is quite a while ago. I'm guessing she's gotten it done then, but is anyone or has anyone recently gone through a divorce? After 20 years together, we're going to get divorced. My mind is reeling and would love to connect with anyone going through this. It's incredibly hard. Okay. So that I've been through a divorce. I might reach out to her and say, yeah, I've totally been through a divorce, can help you. Love to chat with you. Okay. Again, never doing this stuff under completely the guise of just trying to buy her house, but offering service and value to the community. Okay. And then obviously at some point, if she needs to sell her house, I can help her, guide her, give her information and list her house or buy her house or whatever. Okay. So I go through here, I would look at all these different ones. I would read all of these. I would provide value where I can. I'll skip and, sometimes you'll have people going on and on and on about how horrible their husband is or whatever. I usually skip the drama and just am looking for the people that I can provide some value and help to. Okay. So divorce is one keyword that I use on a regular basis. Another one, let's try foreclosure. I don't find that one too often, but every once in a while. Ladies, I have a quick question. I came across a rental property last night and the rent was listed for $11.50. I contacted the list agent. She said I can come take a look. I don't see the word foreclosure anywhere there, but okay. Sometimes that'll happen. I don't know why, but I don't understand Facebook's rhythms and algorithms and all that. But sometimes you'll scan through these and be like, that didn't have the word I put in there at all. But I'll kind of and I try to do this really quickly because again, I don't want to go down the Facebook rabbit hole, but I'm really just sort of looking for things that can help. Here's one that says, this is hard for me to do, but I want to reach out. Our family is really in need of this holiday season. I'm currently reaching out to the Salvation Army, a month behind on our mortgage payments. The note holder is threatening to start foreclosure. We have a family coming for Christmas and I don't know how we are going to blah, blah, blah. Okay. So on that case, I might just comment or go into that person's profile.
This 2020, would you do that now?
No, probably not. I would have kept scanning for that one. Yeah. I would have gone to something sooner. So in this, if that was more recent, say even in the last 6 months,
Yeah.
then I would probably come over to this profile, look at it a little bit. I think that it was, and then I would message her and just say, hey, I saw your post. I'm sorry that you're going through a difficult time. I don't know if you're ready to deal with the house yet, but I'm happy to help you. I'm a foreclosure specialist in the area. I know all of the, what is going to happen. Happy to walk you through the process and answer any questions that you have. I would just kind of send that message and pass it on. But no, definitely not if it was 2020. Yeah, no.
Hope they're past that.
Yeah, so these all go downwards. Okay, so no foreclosures that are recent, that's a good thing.
They're
So
all 2020, actually, if you think about that. So
yeah, it's
for
interesting.
years.
Yeah. So then so I tried divorce, I tried foreclosure, I try oftentimes buy house. Now this one's weird, and it's probably me not knowing Facebook's algorithms, but sometimes you'll get buy house stuff, and then other times it's like the word buy will be in there somewhere and the word house will be in there somewhere. I'm thinking you might need to do quotes around it, but I've actually not tested that. So see here, you get like buy a house, which is good. Any options on whether it would be better to buy a house now or wait to see if the housing market softens and prices drop? Okay. So I would reach out to that person because I have opinions on that. And I would also, with that person, I would also share some information that I have this one chart that shows what it costs them to wait. So when the house prices go up, but the interest rates go down, what it's costing them to wait. So I'd probably shoot that over to her and just say, hey, Lori, it looks like we both belong to Gilbert Girlfriends. I saw your post, have some information that might help you out. Here's a chart that might, make it a little bit easier for you. Would love to connect with you. I know the local housing market really well, kind of thing. And then I would kind of just go through this whole list looking at different people that might have some questions on housing. So another way you can use this is if you're trying to find a new market. Recently I went into to do an investment in the Birmingham, Alabama market. and I had never been in that market before. I actually was buying a tax lien in that market, and I was like, I really kind of want somebody to drive by this house for me and make sure that the house exists. Number one, Google Earth showed it, but Google Earth was like 3 years old, the picture. And so I just kind of went onto a Facebook page. I went into all my groups, into my friends, and just did some searches for Birmingham. Found that I had somebody that was following me from Birmingham, went to their page and looked at a lot of things on their page. And on their page, I found a painter, I found a landscaper, and I found a plumber that were all connected to them. So I'm assuming that they all use them. I reached out to all of them and said, hey, it looks like we have a connection. I'm looking at a tax lien in the area and I think it needs some work. Would love to connect with you. Don't know when I'll need you, but I would love to make some connections. And from the plumber, I actually got a referral for another house that's on the same street that he said looks like it's vacant. So just by having those conversations and starting to reach out with people through those connections, I've been able to kind of foster an additional relationship and get some leads to some other properties. So that's my stalking with Facebook. And you can do the same thing on Instagram if you prefer Instagram. Kind of old school because I'm old. And so I like Facebook a lot more. What questions do you have? Peggy, you are on mute.
I am on mute and
There you go.
I am, I don't really have any questions except it takes a while to get through all of this. So when you are putting your timer on, do you have like, I'm going to be on until I find one thing, or I'm going to be on? I mean, how do you set your time on something? Like you said, I was on LinkedIn. I'm a LinkedIn person, so I was on LinkedIn, checking a few things out, and realized, oh my God, right.
Right. An hour and a half has gone by, right?
Yeah. So do you actually set your timer on your
Yes.
phone?
Yes. So my phone timer is sort of the tool I use regularly. Like every night, it's my habit every night before I go to bed, I look at my schedule for the next day and I set an alarm for 5 minutes before every appointment. Right. So
Right.
if I have a phone call at 2 o'clock, I set an alarm for 1:55. If I have a Zoom meeting at 4, if I like this, I set 10 minutes early because I know I got to get on a link and all that. So I would use my timer because that's what I use consistently and regularly. Everybody's going to obviously have their own thing. It depends on, so this is not like you're not going to find deals immediately tomorrow from this, right? It's long-term nurturing of relationships. So if you're really just sort of looking for the friends that you have a lot of connections with, and you want to start to connect with all those and just send friend requests with a quick message, I would say you could do a lot of that in 15 to 30 minutes, right? So I would, if you're going, okay, I'm just going to go and every day I'm going to make 5 new connections, you could do that in 5 to 10 minutes, right?
Right.
That simple type of thing. If you're going to go start scrolling some groups, looking for random things like divorce and foreclosure and stuff, you might want to allow yourself 30 to 45 minutes, maybe in the beginning, even a little longer, but I wouldn't do it more than once a week, right? And again, you're looking for those keyword things, but also to make connections and provide some value to people. If you're looking for something specific, like the tax lien in Birmingham area type of thing, then usually, again, you can do that pretty quickly. I actually got sidetracked on his page because I wasn't planning on going there to find other vendors. But then when I was going to post something to him, I saw something that someone else had posted and I was like, oh, this guy's actually looks like he might be doing deals. I'm going to check out. And so then I started looking through his page and was like, oh, a plumber. Oh, and so you can easily get distracted, which is why I say kind of go with purpose and set a timer.
Thank you very much. Eugene.
Thanks for the presentation. So we use Facebook in our business, but hold on, I gotta hang up. Somebody's trying to call me. Just hung up on them. Okay, so we use Facebook in our bit. Can you hear that? Can you guys hear that ringing?
No.
Okay, good. Um, but I do it different than you. I currently have, I think it's 4 deals on the contract from Facebook, but there's no way I would ever do what you're doing. It's just too much time. I just go straight, so I spend an hour a day, or somebody from the staff does, go straight to Facebook Marketplace. People just post deals out there. A lot of
Oh
them are
yeah.
not good, but I guess the way we kind of run our business, we just get lots of deals in the pipeline, realizing I can have 100 deals in the pipeline. I only need a few of them to close.
Pull through. Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
So I don't, what you're doing, I admire what you're doing, but it would drive me nuts.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's not for everybody, that's for sure.
yeah, yeah. So we just, um, you know, Facebook Marketplace, we go in, uh, uh, people who post stuff in the marketplace. I can kind of tell whether it's an investor. I can tell when it's a wholesaler. I can also tell when it's a realtor.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, we make offers to everybody, period, unless it's a realtor. Because I already have. Now I'm a realtor too, so I already have access to all the stuff from the realtors.
Right, right.
We
But you
just,
might see something and go, "Oh, I'm going to go look that one up. I didn't see that one."
yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, we
Yeah.
ask them. We ask them, "Are you the owner?" So that's our process. We say, "Are you the owner?" And if they say yes, we make them an offer.
Cool.
So that's how we kind of you and then uh, when I say we make them an offer, we get their information, they get into our system, and then we start the communication. And even if they don't accept our offer, now they're in my system, so we're communicating.
Keep following up with them.
Yeah, yeah. So that's kind of how we use it. Um, um, I have 2,000 friends on Facebook, but none of them are friends. They always ask me. I never asked anybody to be a friend on Facebook. One time
Right.
somebody else came to me to be a friend on Facebook, somebody from high school from 30 years ago who I did not like. He friended me on Facebook, and I'll never forget that. That's when Facebook first came out. And and then I says, "Yeah, I remembered when you did this to me in high school," and I unfriended him, and I never used Facebook again so I only use it for business. It just never for anyway, I want to thank you for your presentation, but that's
That's
kind of what we
funny.
do. We just make,
I love it. Yeah, we actually use Facebook Marketplace quite a bit. Yeah. Yep, I
yeah,
like it a lot. Mhm.
yeah.
And it's definitely performing better than any of the other things that we used to use like Craigslist and stuff like that. We still post on Craigslist and we still look for things on Craigslist, but Facebook Marketplace is definitely becoming more mainstream for everybody.
The other thing that we do, so for all those people who are quote unquote friends, there are some friends there. Once a week, we send them a message. It's a property finder message. We're looking, it's not to everybody. We just pick like 5 people, send them the message, and um, and probably about once a quarter, somebody says, "Hey, I saw your property finder ad. Would be interested." And then they become partners for us looking because we can't be every place, as you understand.
Right.
And they become a property finder, sending us deals.
Nice.
So that's kind of how we use the system.
I like it. So like a bird dog type of thing.
It's a bird dog, and the way our bird dog ad works, he said if we find a deal, you find that ugly house, if we like it, if it fits within, uh, we pay on the back end when we flip it. We don't pay them fees. They get
Right.
25% of our profits. If we
Nice.
close
That's a
on
nice
it
job.
and
Mhm.
yeah, if we close on it and fix and flip it, um, then they get 25. That's for the fix and flip stuff. They get
Yeah.
25% of our profit. And about so right, as a result, I've got about 10 people, bird dogs, outside of Chicago, who kind of do that for us.
That's awesome.
And many of them were found on Facebook.
Fantastic. See, it is good sometimes.
Yeah, yeah.
It's I just can't get into all the drama people post. I'm like, I can't believe people post this stuff.
Yeah, to me it's more of a what do you call those people who always complaining about? Yeah, that's why I don't.
Drama. We call it
Yeah.
drama. Drama.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you for the presentation.
Thank you for sharing. No, I like those, Eugene. That was great.
All right, David. Thank you for being here, David. We missed you last week.
Yeah, I was out of the area. Miss you guys too, always. Good to see you. Courtney, I had a question in reference to your system. Two questions. What other social media do you use that is effective of locating deals and people? And then secondly, um, is there a way you can utilize, as you mentioned, those keywords, foreclosure, divorce, um, damage, house, help on things? Could you market in a way with those specifics to help people contact you through these social media ways?
Yeah, definitely. So using the keywords to run ads and things like that is probably our biggest way of bringing in leads these days. Running ads is like a whole different animal compared to what I just showed you. But yeah, you can use those keywords to run ads to do that. I have done it on Instagram as well. They don't have groups on Instagram so as much, so you don't have the same kind of ability to be able to go in and have those conversations. What I do in Instagram is and I don't do any of this, by the way. I have somebody that does all of this for me, but um she goes out and she will find local people, and then we just have huge connections of people. Like, so within, if I'm wanting to buy something in Birmingham, Alabama, she'll go out and just find people that live in Birmingham and just start connecting with people. So that's how we've used it on Instagram. Peggy said she's a huge LinkedIn person. I would suspect, and I've never done it, you could do this easily on LinkedIn.
You froze up, Courtney. I'll test LinkedIn. So Courtney froze up. I'll see if she unfreezes. Hmm.
So I guess waiting for Courtney. Peggy, you mentioned LinkedIn, and maybe anybody else here on the call who has experience with LinkedIn as far as marketing and finding leads as well.
I haven't tried it on LinkedIn, so I will have to look at that. The groups are very different. They don't do like girlfriends on LinkedIn, but they do have like doctors or other things. But most of what I found in, like for instance, the surgeons, they don't talk about anything but surgery, right? Medical things. So, but it would be an interesting test.
The only thing I don't use LinkedIn for small deals. But some of the big syndicators,
Yeah,
uh, they're on LinkedIn, so I'm tied in with some of them, reviewing their stories and establishing relationships. I don't look for deals on LinkedIn. I use it to establish relationships with like you said, they're people who are it's 100% business, unlike Facebook.
right. Well,
Uh,
we're not looking for syndicators. We're looking for the passive investor, which,
yeah, but that's what I hook up with them, establish relationships, and which then could lead potentially to what may I potentially invest in with them.
yeah, well, we'll have to have another round of this and tell Courtney our results.
Sorry, I'm back. I don't know what happened. I got
You
kicked
got
off.
you froze.
Must be my internet. All of a sudden I was looking at a blank screen. But to answer your question, David, I do think you could probably do it on LinkedIn. Were you able to test it, Peggy?
No, I
Okay.
haven't ever tested. I mean, I didn't know anything about what you're doing, so it's all news to me, but I'm looking for the passive investor. I'm not looking for deals. We've got plenty of deals. Actually, maybe we don't.
I think finding passive investors would probably be super easy. So yeah, that would be something I think you could easily try. And on LinkedIn, it works very similar to Facebook. Like you do have groups of people. You're just not going to have girlfriend groups. You're going to have more business groups and stuff. So if LinkedIn is more your comfort level, I think that would be an area you could easily find them at.
I was thinking we could all test and then come back and have another call with you about how that's working.
I'd love that. And I'd love to hear your results and stuff. I don't think it's a short term, like,
No.
I think it's definitely something that's going to take time. It's definitely sort of like Eugene said, it would drive some people crazy. I think it needs to be like an ongoing daily habit or somebody else in your team needs to do it. But hey, if you got 1 or 2 great deals a year out of it, it makes it worthwhile.
Absolutely. David?
Yeah, so on that, I was gonna say, if you can have a system with an OA or a VA, excuse me, who can do all those things for you. Maybe that's something else I'd like to learn about and have a system for that as well.
Yeah, the hardest part with a VA is because, as I said, like you're trying to build relationships with people. It's really hard for that VA to get the same voice that you have to start that conversation. Like the rule in my office is once that conversation has kind of started and it seems like it's going to go somewhere, then I want to be involved so that it really is actually me, because I don't want it to be disingenuous, right? And so I think it does depend on what you're looking for. In Peggy's case, looking for passive investors, I think you could easily outsource that to VA type work, because they're not looking for that genuine connection, where somebody going through a divorce is looking for a connection, right? So it just depends a little bit on who you're trying to approach and what conversations and relationship you're trying to build.
For true. Well, we do build the relationships because they're not our deals. We're a third independent party. So they have to build a relationship with us so we can find out what they're looking for so we can attach them to the right syndicators.
Right.
Sense.
Yeah, but I think that in that case, it's more of a business relationship. So they wouldn't be put off and they're more expected. They're not going to be like, I was talking to a VA initially, where a person going through a divorce who, Courtney Jones reaches out to, and then all of a sudden they find that out. That might seem like, not
Well,
cool.
here's the idea on that, David, Courtney, everybody else. You could do what's called a reel. You could create a short reel as an introduction, and then you could have a VA post that to build the relationship, just to like saying hello. And we send our calendar out. We want to meet you. That's how we do our initials. Like, hey, it was nice of you to. A lot of them have asked to join or have me follow, and I answer back with, "Oh, let's have a conversation." People that I am allowed to come in as my friends, I guess you'd say, on LinkedIn. I want to meet them, have the conversation, see how we can support them. But doing a reel
Yeah, I love that. I love that idea. Because
and
I don't know what our numbers are, but I would say maybe 1 out of 20 responds to us and gets, I don't know them off the top of my head, but so yeah, if they're posting 20 videos or reels to say, hey, I just want to introduce myself kind of thing, and then you only get response from one of them, then that saves you a ton of time, David.
right. And
Yeah.
Christina Luttrell, who's been on a few times, she runs a VA business and she trains everybody. She makes sure that they know what they're doing, and she'll work with you anyway that works for you. So consider having a conversation with her, David. Let me know if you need her number. But yeah, she's actually she works with Casey Eberhardt, who's my mastermind leader, and she's been working for him for years and years. And the training she does is really good. We see that from the people she works with.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
thanks, guys. Thanks so much. Those are good ideas.
it's great. We're at the top of the hour, so thank you everyone for coming. Aaron and Karen, we'd love to have you come back anytime. just fun to have these conversations and learn as much as you can about real estate and what people are doing. Like what you heard. Oh, thank you very much, Jay. You always give such great compliments. Hearts like that.
Mhm.
So we'll be sending this out to everybody. And come back again, please, Courtney. Oh, and by the way, I don't know if any of you are interested, but tomorrow, and I put this in the chat, maybe I should repost it. I'm on a 20-minute telephone call tomorrow. I'm going to speak about three things that are really important for building your wealth. And it's basically like an introduction to our mastermind group that we've set up. So if you want to come on that, it's 20 minutes. It's a telephone. So I put the telephone number in, and then there's that special number you put in after. And I don't know if there'll be any Q&A. This is the first time I've been on this. Sometimes there's Q&A, but it's 20 minutes. So at 20 minutes, like they shut you down. But I'm trying to make it fast enough so there could be some Q&A, because I think people learn from Q&A, not from, I mean, we learned a lot from you today, Courtney, or I don't know, I guess I hit people with a fire hose and they always have lots of questions.
Yeah, for sure. No, that's good. Awesome. Congratulations.
Thanks. Yeah, so if you'd all like to come, the number's now in the chat. So we'll see you next week, same time, same station, different advertisement.
Yeah. Nice to see you all again.
And Jay, looks like Jay is asking what time.